This week on In Focus SoCal, we visit a unique women's substance abuse recovery program that's helping to change lives. Then a conversation with San Bernardino County Supervisor Jesse Armendarez on what's ahead for his district. And later, I sit down with Assemblymember Rick Chavez Zbur to discuss new efforts to support youth in foster care. Plus, help for people suffering with sleep disorders. In Focus SoCal starts right now. Welcome to In Focus SoCal. I'm Tanya McRae. Los Angeles County is turning a corner in its battle against addiction. The county recorded its biggest ever drop in overdose deaths, down 22%. Awareness about addiction and increased treatment access are contributing factors to moving the needle. But at one SoCal recovery program, overcoming addiction doesn't come in the form of a pill or a support group. It comes on four legs, and the healing has hooves.
Hiya.
Most people in recovery count days of sobriety, but Brianna Carranza counts something else, the number of hungry animals she needs to feed each day at the River's Edge Ranch.
Are you getting full?
In most rehab programs, people are told to open up and talk about their feelings, and that's also part of the program here at River's Edge.
Is it good?
But so is talking to camels, and hand-feeding zebras, and getting friendly with a pink service dog. Even kissing a baby cow is part of the journey to sobriety here.
You want all the loving, don't you?
Brianna has spent years battling alcohol and drug addiction. But after losing custody of her two sons and pretty much everything else in her life, she finally decided enough was enough.
My drug of choice was meth. And on and off of that since like about maybe 19 years old. I'm 33 now. And it's time for change. Being sober by myself, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So with the help, it's going to be different.
But finding the right program to get that help has not been easy for her. This is her fourth rehab in 6 months.
The other programs, they weren't good fits. They just gave me the feel of like mental hospital institution-like places, jail structure.
Brianna tried to leave River's Edge the second day she was here, but then realized she had nowhere else to go. She once dreamt of being a veterinarian, so the animals here quickly drew her in. I mean, how could you not fall in love with that face or be mesmerized by those eyes? Brianna says caring for them is creating a change in her.
Now learning how to adjust to who I am, and at my core, I give myself more grace and I'm patient with myself.
It's well documented how service animals can have a transformative impact on people, significantly improving psychological well-being, emotional functioning, self-esteem, and vitality. A number of studies have found that animal-assisted therapy is significantly effective with substance use disorder patients in residential addiction treatment programs when combined with conventional psychotherapy for mental and behavioral health treatment. Animals provide emotional support, enhance social skills, and reduce stress and anxiety.
What about you, Stanley? What about you?
Breaking free from the grip of addiction is a monumental challenge. Michelle Mendoza is the program director at the River's Edge Women's Ranch and explains how caring for these animals helps restore a sense of pride and purpose in these women.
When the women are working with the animals, they are obtaining a sense of responsibility by caring for the animals, feeding them. It's almost like a motherly instinct that, makes them love, and they're being loved back by the animals. And so it's like a healing that takes place.
River's Edge has been in operation for the past 14 years in Lucerne Valley as a rehab program exclusively for men. Doug Whiteman is the CEO of the ranch and a former addict. He says when community members began asking for help for female family members, it became clear they needed to expand the program. And in January of this year, a program for women opened in Apple Valley.
The approach we take with the women is a little bit different. There's more domestic violence involved, more trauma, more mental health. So we are taking a little deeper approach on the therapeutic, the counseling side with the women than we do the men.
Another unique aspect of the River's Edge is that people have to commit to living on the ranch for a full year.
The significance of being a year long really gives us time to dig into some of the core problems with the addiction in the first place, where a 30-day program works to get sober, but this changes behaviors, attitudes, friends, and families.
Upon completion of the program, clients are given a car, help with finding a job, and can move into supervised transitional housing in San Bernardino or Fontana. All of this helps prevent them from going back to their previous lifestyle.
Hi, she's coming back.
Brianna's mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother were all consumed by addiction, but she's determined not to be another chapter in that part of her family legacy. And she's just fine being led down the path to sobriety with four-legged companions by her side.
In the months coming ahead, I'm gonna be able to get all the things that I wasn't able to have while in my addiction. I wanna be a good mom to my kids because they deserve it.
My next guest is Supervisor Jesse Armendarez, who represents the 2nd District on the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors, which includes the cities of Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, and Fontana. Since taking office, Supervisor Armendarez has focused on tackling issues across the Inland Empire, from homelessness and mental health to public safety and infrastructure. The supervisor joins me now. Good to have you on with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You had the opportunity to visit the River's Edge Women's Ranch, a substance abuse recovery program that we featured earlier on the show. Why is it important to you that the community supports these women in need?
Well, so it goes back to we actually supported River's Edge Ranch men's facility first, and seeing all the great work they were doing there and seeing the lives that were being changed. When the opportunity arose for us to be able to make that same investment in the women's sector, we were all on board because there are very few of them out there. And, any way we can help a mother, a daughter, or a woman who wants to get the help they need to start living, a fruitful life, we want to encourage that, especially in our county.
You're a strong advocate for expanding solutions to homelessness as well. How will the West End Navigational Center support unhoused people?
You name it, we're going to have it all in one location. And the whole purpose of this is to be able to bring you, at your lowest if you want the help, and we're going to get you the help you need, whether it's mental, drug addiction, VA benefits, whatever the case may be. We're going to make it a one-stop shop.
And another group that you are working to help are foster children. And in California, about 1 in 3 foster youth end up homeless after they age out of the system, and another 25% are incarcerated by the age of 24. Those are very disturbing statistics. How does your SPARK program aim to change those odds?
So SPARK was actually not just designed for our foster, it was actually just designed for our foster and our most at risk in our communities. And really what it is we're taking them as they are and showing them that they're not just a number. They are a person, and we want the best for them. And if we're the people who are going to be that mentor in their life, we want to show them that they are appreciated and that we're going to give them every opportunity as every other person in our community has. And just because of their circumstance doesn't mean they shouldn't have those opportunities. And the SPARK program was one of those things that we were able to put together where we were able to bring all of our county resources all together, and we're able to share them. And what we found through this process was there's a lot of great kids out there who just want an opportunity.
Another issue that young people are facing are school shootings, which we hear about far too often these days. And you just partnered with the Fontana Unified School District to expand Crisis Alert. What is that technology, and how will it help keep students and school staff safe?
So what was really exciting to me is when they showed it to me, it's a lanyard that literally can, by just a push of a button that the teacher's wearing, she can lock down the school. By the push of a button, she can notify that there's a crisis in her classroom, and even those who are walking the campuses. It's an instantaneous GPS located device that will actually give real-time answers to where locations are, what the issue is, not just to the school, the principal, but their school police, the city's police. Anyone who is part of that situation will know exactly at every moment what's actually happening.
And another part of your outreach with the community is you host pop-up office hours where residents can connect and talk with you, boots on the ground. What concerns are people in your district sharing with you right now?
What I love about the pop-up hours is it gives us an opportunity to meet people where they are. And it's great because we have everything from local businesses that will show up to the pop-up hour. So those who can't get to San Bernardino and meet with me in my office, or get to Rancho and meet with me in my office, we're going to them. We're going to the north end if it's an elderly person, or if it's a business who, someone's working, 12 hours days and they can't afford to get out away from their business for an hour, they can pop in for 5 seconds and, say hello, introduce themselves. So it serves twofold for us.
Supervisor, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for having me.
Still ahead on In Focus SoCal, Assemblymember Rick Chavez Zbur talks about his plan to keep public land protected so it can't be developed or destroyed. Welcome back to In Focus SoCal. My next guest is Assemblymember Rick Chavez Zbur, who represents the 51st Assembly District, which includes communities from Hollywood to Santa Monica. He also serves as the Democratic Caucus Chair of the California Assembly. And as we continue reporting on the environment during Earth Month, the Assemblymember is highlighting some of his latest environmental initiatives, including efforts to protect public lands and supporting California's climate goals. Assemblymember Zbur joins me now. It's good to have you with us today.
Glad to be back, Tanya. Thank you.
Talk about the focus of the Public Lands Protection Act. Why does protecting public land matter for both the environment and the public?
Well, initially earlier this year, under the federal budget bill, the federal government was proposing to sell millions of acres of land that is now in the hands of the federal government for things potentially for uses for logging, oil drilling, a whole host of things. And so the AB 1624, the California Public Lands Protection Act, is a bill to protect the land that is now in federal hands in the event it's sold. And what it will do is put conservation and open space zoning designations on this land so that when it's sold, these lands will have the protection of California's environmental laws.
In light of the Trump administration's rolling back key environmental protections, what can be done to ensure that California's climate goals are still able to be met?
Well, one of the items is AB 1624. I mean, this bill having our federal millions of acres of open space protected is one of the key issues. The other thing is actually continuing to move forward on our climate goals here in California. We actually have the most ambitious climate laws in the nation. I have a bill that's focused on data centers this year. We know that data centers are an important part of our economy, but they also use an incredible amount of electricity. And so I've got a bill this year that will make sure that the PUC is focusing on data centers to make sure that they're paying their fair share and that they don't result in increases in electric rates for normal consumers and other small businesses.
You also introduced legislation known as the Alternatives to Arrest Bill to help expand crime prevention efforts. How does the bill actually work?
This bill is actually, rather than arresting someone for petty theft or for trespass, it gives discretion to law enforcement officers, and they know who the people are who really need help, and it would allow them to actually get them into mental health services and to substance use services, rather than just basically arresting them and putting them in jail. That doesn't help anyone. What does help us is if we address the root causes of crime and get people the help that they need.
Another one of your recent bills aims to strengthen protections for youth in the foster care system. Can you explain what would change for them under this bill?
Well, foster youth are the responsibility of the state of California. And many times we have foster youth who are either placed in a foster home or sometimes adopted, and those placements are not good. Kids are in a bad placement where they're unsafe. We know that LGBTQ kids, children of color and Native American ancestry are overrepresented in the foster care system. And when they are in a bad placement, often what happens is the county sort of washes their hands of these kids, and then they can't get help and getting extracted from a bad placement. This bill, the AB 1967, would require that when a kid asks for help because they're unsafe in a placement, that the county has to act promptly to address that situation. The other issue that occurs is that when kids, after they reach the age of 18 and basically age out of foster care, we have extended foster care services to help these kids, get on their feet, get a job, find a house. And sometimes if they've been adopted, they have their adopted parents are continuing to get support from the state of California, but are not assisting those kids. And that makes them ineligible for this extended foster care, for these extended foster care programs. Our bill would basically say if a kid is not getting support from their foster parent or their adopted parent, that they would remain eligible to get into extended foster care. And we're not going to allow the technicality of the fact that they may have been adopted or may have had a foster parent who's receiving support to prevent them from getting the support that they need. And again, this is another issue of addressing issues like homelessness in our community. We know that former foster youth are way overrepresented among the unhoused population. And that's because they often don't get the same support as other kids do.
And lastly, you're working on a few other bills this legislative session. What are some of your top priorities this year?
Well, one of my top priorities is AB 1607, the Right to Human Customer Service Bill. What this is doing is it's trying to make sure that as we move to more AI technology, that doesn't become an impediment for people getting the help that they need. I mean, many folks in my community have spent hours on the phone waiting on hold to try to get the service they need. Sometimes they will actually get to a chatbot and they will actually get in a loop where the chatbot doesn't understand what they need and they can't get connected to a human being. So AB 1607 essentially says you can't be placed on hold for a long period of time, and that if you actually need human customer service and you request it, that it will require that those who are providing goods and services in the state of California will connect you to a human customer service agent within 5 minutes after someone requests that.
You are working on a lot of really important legislation, so thank you for your time today, and it was a pleasure speaking to you.
It's a pleasure seeing you, Tanya. Thank you very much.
After the break, we'll show you a program helping people with sleep disorders get the rest they need. We'll be right back. Welcome back to In Focus SoCal. With sleep disorders now considered one of the top health concerns in the country, experts say millions of Americans aren't getting the rest they need. But there's an organization based right here in LA trying to change that.
Taking naps with her dog Scrappy is a necessity for Julie Flygar to help deal with something she was diagnosed with at 23.
I remembered feeling tired as I got off the highway, but I was like a minute from the law school, so I just thought, okay, just get to the law school. But the next thing, I woke up in the parking lot and I didn't remember getting there.
At first she thought she needed more coffee or maybe even willpower.
And I'll never forget the doctor said, well, everyone gets tired when they drive.
After telling a second doctor her legs buckled every time she laughed,
You know, like someone almost poked you behind your knees or something.
she learned she was experiencing cataplexy.
This form of muscle paralysis, usually with emotions like laughter, surprise, annoyance, and that it was a symptom of narcolepsy.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates 50 to 70 million people have chronic or ongoing sleep disorders. Every day and night, Julie takes medication to help her symptoms. Julie wrote a book and blog about her experience, and she started what's called Project Sleep.
When you have a sleep condition and you don't know it, often I think we mischaracterize it as like a willpower issue or thinking that you're just lazy.
Doctors recommend 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Dr. Kyungbin Im is the director of UCI Health's Sleep Disorder Center here in Newport Beach. He says not getting enough sleep can be linked to
high blood pressure or hypertension, diabetes, even heart attack, stroke, mental health or psychological condition-wise, anxiety, depression, or to some degree, even dementia.
According to the CDC, nearly 40% of adults report falling asleep without meaning to at least once a month.
I mean, now that there are a lot of sleep medicine physicians and then practices and sleep laboratory, it's easier to identify these sleep disorders, but still many sleep disorders are either mislabeled or unidentified.
And it's Julie's mission to help people who may be living with what she does realize they're not alone and there's help.
There's nothing better in the world than knowing that you made someone else's journey just a little bit less, difficult.
Helping everyone rest a little easier.
That does it for this edition of In Focus SoCal. Tell us about what's going on in your community. You can reach us at infocussocal@charter.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.